Right in front of this Parthenon and statue, there was a city which was constructed at a certain height from the ground level. A sculptor used to live here, from whose house this Parthenon and statue of Athena were clearly visible. The sculptor had a son who used to stand on the balcony of his home looking at the statue, used to think that how a statue is capable of protecting or safeguarding his city. Similarly, other such questions also used to pop inside his mind. He had no idea that these questions one day will lead him to the cup of hemlock. This person with extraordinary mind and wisdom was Socrates. Socrates was comparatively short in height, healthier, and had some kind of extraordinary mind and had tolerance, matter of tolerance. Socrates, uh, be it freezing cold or scorching heat, Socrates would always be barefooted. He used to wear simple and was very modest. Since childhood, Socrates was very much interested in thinking and meditation. The level of his thinking or meditation or something used to be at such a peak that whenever he would think about something, then he would never care about whatever is going all around. When Socrates was a kid, he would observe his father chiseling the stones with his sharp tools to make shapes of the stones, and often he used to form the images of line out of the stones. Socrates wondered that how is it possible that a line could be formed from a stone. At last he questioned his father that how does he guess the shape of a line inside the stone and then carve out so perfectly that a line comes out of the stone. His father answered him that since he is a kid, so he won't understand it. He should wait till he grows up. But Socrates said that he cannot wait that longer to get the answer. So his father said that before making a line out of a stone, first he has to see a line inside the stone. Imagine that a line is stuck inside the stone and he has to free it. Now, the better he imagines the line inside the stone, the better he will understand that which tools he should use and how should he use the tools in order to make a good sculpture. This answer touched Socrates. Socrates' father was a sculptor and his mother was a midwife. One day, Socrates even questioned his mother that how does she do her job. Mother replied that she does nothing but just helps mother to release her child. Socrates used to understand some things and not the others, and so on, used to go to sleep. But by now he understood this much that questioning everything is in the universe is hidden and he has to find the answers to the questions. It is we ourselves who, if want to find answers to the questions, we do or else we do not. Like ordinary mothers, the mother of Socrates also used to tell him the stories of gods and goddesses in the on night time. But since Socrates had a habit of asking questions, so Socrates even used to question the gods and goddesses, and often he would criticize them too. But his mother used to silence him and warn him about their respect and prestige of the gods and goddesses. He would question that if gods and goddesses are so elevated and so powerful, then why do they punish people and fight with each other? But he couldn't get answers to his questions. He would use to ask questions about um, other things, but he couldn't get answers. He would think that asking such questions was like creating problems for himself. He wasn't attractive, that's why most of the people used to dislike him. Being a teenager, the kids used to mock him by calling him some awkward and bad names, which is why he often used to even question them that why some people are ugly and others aren't. Regarding this issue, once he went to a potter and asked him that why his pots are beautiful. There are a number of other potters in the town too, but their pots aren't beautiful. The potter replied him that he doesn't know the details, but he knows this much that a good and non-defective pot is beautiful. From these answers, Socrates determined that the way a lion can be carved out of a stone and a beautiful pot can be made from clay, he can also find answers to his questions that are present somewhere uh, in the deep darkness, and he has to discover them. When Socrates grew old, according to the tradition of Athens, he had to adopt the evocation of his family. But his father realized it very soon that Socrates can't do this because he isn't built to do this. He can only understand people's mind. He even used to talk to people for hours and hours, who were the customers and who would come to buy the sculptures from him and his father. The time of Socrates was the era when Athens was a very famous city all around the world. Athens was the only city in the world where there was democracy. And democracy there was some kind of different type from the one that we have here today, because only males had the right to vote. Democracy was invented by the people of Athens, and they were so much proud of it. Often, uh, ships from used to come to see the sculptures and pots. They also used to watch the magics of the powerful magicians of Athens and learn new things. But Socrates was someone with a different kind of mind. He would ask questions from the guests, and when they would answer, Socrates would ask further questions that how do they know that the particular answer is true, their particular answer is true, why something can't be against their answer, etc. And thus the other used to get puzzled. He used to make questions out of questions till that point that his opposition used to get disturbed and speechless. There was a time when Socrates was almost famous all over the Athens. People weren't able to tolerate anything against their gods and goddesses. When Socrates asked something about the gods and goddesses, the people would reply him with their old, traditional, and conservative type answers. But they had a strong dislike for further questions. Most of the Greek gods lived in the skies, like Apollo was the god of the sky, Jupiter was the god of heavens, and Selene was the goddess of the moon, etc. One day, another Greek philosopher uh, jolted both Socrates and the whole city of Athens. Once, when Socrates was helping his father in the construction of a huge temple, that an eminent politician named Pericles brought a man with himself. This man used to think about the skies and its bodies, for example, moon, stars, etc., was a kind of astronomer. This man's name was Anaxagoras, who said that There is no god or goddess in the skies. These moons, stars, suns, etc., are just stones. Even the moon has no light of itself, but for light it has to take help from the sun. On the moon, there are mountains, snow, stones, and it's possible that humans are also there because of these theories of Anaxagoras against the universe. The people of Athens went against him and developed a strong dislike for him. Someone asked Socrates about his views over the theories of Anaxagoras. They thought that Socrates would talk against him. But Socrates replied that since he has no knowledge in that regard, so he can neither agree or disagree with Anaxagoras. Socrates said that he has no proof to either agree or disagree with him. And thus the people got annoyed and angry with the answer of Socrates and said that there is no need of any evidences or proofs. Does he mean that all of their elders were liars, or their gods and goddesses are also liars? This was the discussion after which Socrates got a number of foes and enemies in Athens. Meanwhile, Anaxagoras was summoned by the court of Athens, where his trial began. He was given two options: either death punishment or exile. Jury had some people who liked Anaxagoras and suggested him to choose the latter option, that was to leave the city. And thus an astronomer left the city and went somewhere else. Anaxagoras came and left, but left Socrates in deep thoughts. Socrates thought that to reach the truth, just getting surprised and thinking about that thought all the time isn't enough, but meeting with wise people and performing experiments is also necessary. Thus, he started working on it. He also he was also said that the indigenous people of Athens could not respect a wise man. He meant Anaxagoras. He also used to think over the statement of Anaxagoras that he isn't born to enjoy just the pleasures and comforts and luxuries of the world, but he is born to think about the universe. Now, a changed and modified version of Socrates was quite famous in the whole Greece. He was known as a philosopher. The rich people would call him to their homes, and the visitors from outside of Greece used to have a strong desire to meet Socrates. Now, Socrates fixed a kind of censor upon himself. He didn't speak everything openly because he was cognizant of the condition of Anaxagoras, but he still used to address the people in a kind of twisted manner. His students, Plato and Crito was a very rich person in Athens. They both admitted the fact that Socrates is the most intelligent and genius person in the world right at that time. In a city of Greece that was called Delphi, the Greeks believed that the greatest god of sky, known as Apollo, has a temple there. Below the sculpture of the Apollo, there was a devout woman who used to sit there all the time and talk to the people. The Greeks would ask questions from the sculpture, and the devotee used to answer them. The people believed that whatever the devotee answers them, it is actually the answer of the Apollo god. Once very jubilant and excited and a very dynamic student of Socrates went to the devoted devotee and asked her if there is anyone more intelligent and genius in Athens than Socrates. She replied that there is no man more intelligent than Socrates. The student's name was Chaerephon. Chaerephon, in a very dynamic state and a very excited manner, came to the people of Athens and said that even God said that there is no one more genius and intelligent than Socrates. But with this news, the people of Athens were divided into two groups. Some people believed that God is right, but the others criticized and said that for sure Chaerephon has bribed the devotee. But with this answer of God, Socrates himself was quite surprised. He said that because he is ignorant and he believes that that he is ignorant, that's why Apollo has used his name so that he could understand his status. With this answer from Apollo, more youth started to meet Socrates. In this huge crowd of people, a man came to Socrates who played a very important and decisive role in his life and death. This man was Alcibiades. He was a very rich person and was also a naval commander alongside. He was famous because of his strength, and it is said that he was kind of attractive from his face and from his body. Once a mission was sent to the island of Sicily, and that Alcibiades was appointed the commander of that mission, but he failed miserably there. But before this, Alcibiades, many people of Athens were pretty impressed and liked Alcibiades. And Alcibiades was impressed himself from Socrates, and he wanted Socrates to be impressed from him too. So he became his student. When he was defeated in the mission of the island of Sicily, he became Alcibiades never returned to Athens then, but became a friend of the foe of Athens. There were Spartans. They fought against Spartans. Alcibiades was declared as a traitor in Athens, and unfortunately, since Socrates was his teacher, so some people who had a strong dislike for Socrates were making fun of Socrates. They started maligning Socrates. In Athens, there was a theater which was arranged by the powerful people like the politicians of the Athens. Many people from different parts of Athens used to come and watch dramas there. There they started making fun of Socrates. They would present Socrates like a kind of atheist and the one who teaches the youth to argue with their elders and their parents. Socrates was now anticipating and expecting the threats against himself because these dramas and plays were usually presented by the powerful people of Athens. Meanwhile, there happened another tragedy in Athens that downgraded the whole grandeur and prestige of Athens. Athens lost to the Spartans in the Peloponnesian War that lasted for 27 years. Athens had to drop their weapons. When Spartans won, the student of Socrates, that Alcibiades, who was a naval chief and became a traitor, he was also among the winners of the war. This was a military defeat uh, which was supposed to be taken into consideration. Deep thinking, often called meditation, is usually a very tough and complex job for a layman. A multitude of people were already disappointed by Socrates, and the theater's plays added salt into the wounds. Many people thought that because of the ideas and thoughts of Socrates, gods are disappointed with them, and this is why Athens is defeated. Many politicians of Athens didn't like Socrates because Socrates even questioned the democracy of Athens. He would ask that if uh, um, we have to travel by sea, so should we elect the captain of the ship through ordinary voting? Like, should we ask the plumber or the blacksmith that who should be the captain of the ship? Socrates said, no, it is not like this. For this election, only the experts of sea, that are the naval army, they should be asked that who should be the captain of the ship. Same goes for democracy. Since democracy is an art which, if not understood properly, the people cannot vote. One day, a student of Socrates, Crito, as we discussed earlier, that who was a very rich man, came to him and warned him that the powerful people of the city, that is the politicians, have decided to file a case against him. Socrates rewinded the whole story of Anaxagoras and thus started his preparation for the upcoming times. On the day of hearing, Socrates, along with his friends, reached the court. A jury of different lawyers and judges, along with 500 other people, were waiting for him. The trial of Socrates' life and death had to be done in just one day. There was no second chance or any appeal. Trial and verdict, both on the same day. Socrates had just 6 hours. 3 hours were for the hearing and 3 hours for Socrates to defend himself. The case filers said that for Athens, the blessings of gods and the loyalty of the youth are very much necessary, but Socrates is exterminating this both. Defeat against Spartans and the current humiliations were also added into the account of Socrates. After hearing the case and hearing for around 180 minutes, that is 3 hours, against himself, it was now Socrates' turn to save himself. Socrates now had to save himself in these 180 precious minutes. But even here, Socrates did a very strange and unexpected act. He did what he was blamed for. He didn't talk to jury, but he directly told the people that, can anyone among the jury prove the cases against him? And criticized the jury even more. He told the people that the jury is telling lies, and if they think that for saving my life he will add or tell lies, then they are totally wrong. He further added that more than death, he is thinking that whatever he is uttering, is he right or wrong? For quite a long time, he criticized the social and political systems of Athens, but he didn't defend himself. After the addressing of Socrates, it was now time to vote. 220 people voted in favor and 280 people voted against Socrates. Now, as per law, he was convicted and had to be punished to death. According to the rules of Athens, he could decide his choice of death. When he was asked about his choice, Socrates replied that he wants to have a dinner with the government expenditure, which means that he chose hemlock. Hemlock is the most strongest poison of Athens. His friends suggested him another legal option, which was to file an application of exile, but he disappointed all those who loved him. He said that if he could not stop telling the truth in his homeland, that is Athens, how will he speak the truth in some other parts of the world? And he cannot keep silent. Let him sacrifice for his truth. Socrates was taken into the jail cell and was locked. There uh, were a few days left in exercising the death penalty. His follower Crito, who was a very rich man, bribed the jailer and guards and um, other relevant persons and planned to take him away. During his meeting with Socrates, he disclosed his plan to him, but Socrates discouraged him and said that his survival doesn't mean that much to him the way his life with rules matters to him. And rules to him are that from fear of death, the laws of cities shouldn't be breached. The court's decision is a court. In the last morning, Crito came to meet Socrates. Other students and followers of Socrates were already present there with him, but this time there were chains in his feet. Seeing Socrates in chains disappointed him even more. Socrates asked the jailer for hemlock. The jailer brought the hemlock in a cup. Socrates told his friends and followers that he has heard that a man should die in complete silence and peace. When he takes the hemlock, they must control their feelings and their emotions and be patient. Socrates lifted the cup of hemlock and touched that with his lips. Plato said that he witnessed that Socrates didn't hesitate at all. Socrates took a sip of hemlock and swallowed it down through his esophagus. He just strolled for a while in his bed, and then after a while he put his blanket on his face and told the last few words to Crito. He told Crito that he should pay for his the poultry that was a liability on him. Crito said that he will pay. He should order something else, but this time he didn't get any answer because Socrates went into a deep and forever sleep. Today, on the entrance of the biggest research institute in Athens, Greece, called Academy of Athens, the statue of Socrates in a kind of meditation and thinking mood is affixed. And behind the statue of Socrates is a statue of the Greek goddess Athena. So this was all about the greatest philosopher who has ever lived on the surface earth, Socrates. Thank you for being here with me.